This is the Summertime Series, Volume 1. Of course, I'm John W.
Fresh X.
And we here with my guy, my soul brother for real. Like, if y'all can see some of our group chats, the Off the Ball Narrow group chat, I be remembering like I can talk how I want to talk when Mo in there because Mo gets it. But the Vice President of Off the Ball Network, Mo Murphy, Up in Flames, Solo Mo. We was just talking before we got on. We haven't done a show since we signed with Off the Ball Network, so this is a long time overdue. What's going on, Mo?
Yo, bro, like we said before the show, like I didn't even realize it's been this long because we've had so much conversation that I think when it come to recording shows, we don't think about each other because like we already know what each other think about this. Like when I talk to both of y'all, I already know. I talk to y'all on Twitter, all that. So like I already know y'all thoughts, so I don't think to bring y'all on there. But yeah, bro, I was looking forward to this show. And then y'all sent me the rundown. I'm like, oh yeah, I got some things to get off my chest when it come to this show. Like, it ain't just sports. So I'm loving it today.
Yeah, full uniform. Got the solo cup.
Yeah, you know, it was only right.
Had to do.
I want to start with something a little serious, not super serious, but you are the VP of Off the Ball Network, which every day we growing, we getting stronger, we getting better. What's that like? Like knowing that you hold a role, a title that's important to a company, honestly. Like, what's that like?
Bro, so if you want me to be 100% honest, it's tough.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's really tough, and because it's like ever since we built this thing, like Chris is the one who came up with the idea, and I started my podcast independent, just Up in Flames, and that's it. And then I linked with Chris a lot, I linked with Jeff a lot, and then we found ourselves doing a bunch of shows together. And then Chris kind of came up with the idea of like, hey, like y'all my right hand man, y'all my go-to guests. We doing shows every week. Let's start our own thing. And so now it's at the point where it's like it's tough because you want to keep everybody satisfied. You want to make sure nobody falls off from the vision. And I know it's been we're coming on 2 years, and it's kind of like sometimes things have felt stagnant. Sometimes things are starting to grow and we're stepping in the right direction. Take 2 steps back, then we jump 3 steps forward. So it's been tough. We've lost people. We've gained great people. I mean, when you think about it, like we've lost people, but then we gain y'all. So it's like, okay, I can take my wins from my losses. Like I'll take my less wins, I take y'all as opposed to my 5 losses. So, you win some, you lose some. That group chat is hell. Let's just be honest. Like that group chat ain't for the weak. People leave based on the group chat. We take it personal, but it's tough. But I wouldn't want to do it with any other group of guys. Like talking to guys from all aspects, y'all being from Georgia, having some familiarity there. Jelani and Thad, like just being able to meet the group of guys that I've met. I'm like, damn, like I'm in a room and I'm in a network full of guys that understand and love sports, whether it's basketball, and I get the basketball guys who love basketball the way I do, or football or whatever. Like I'm surrounded by a group of guys that really have the same mentality as me. And like, it's like you probably got a small circle of homeboys, but you be like, damn, like I don't click with them the way I click with some of the guys at the network because like these are the homies that I grew up with, boom, 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 but they don't necessarily have the same interests, whether we was in the streets together, growing up together, playing ball. Well, like I think everybody in the group, like we all got the same common interest of loving sports. So it's been tough, but I've enjoyed every moment of it, from the highest of the highs to the lowest of the lows. And then knowing what's coming in the very near future has made like the past 2 years of hard work, like knowing what's coming in the future, that's made everything worth it.
Yeah, shout out to Chris LeBron, the press. Shout out to Jeff too, the other vice president. But shout out to Chris LeBron for having the vision and the structure and knowing what kind of people he wanted to do this thing with him and go on his journey with him. Because I know for a fact, me and Fresh, we trust him with this because we see it. Like I say, it gets stagnant, it gets slow. Sometimes the room get a little quiet, and it's like we ain't fucking with each other, we ain't feeling each other, but we here, we family for real. Like I say, you one of the people I do consider myself real close to because sometimes we have our little side chat. We like make sure ain't neither one of us tripping in there. Like
when I want to say something on the urban culture side, bro, I message y'all on the side. Like when I really want to say what's on my mind, I'm gonna message Hoopers on the side only because like I know we can have this conversation on the side and I can say whatever I want, and I try and be mindful of everybody. And that's the point, is where like the hardest part for me is like sometimes I fully don't think I give everybody who I really am, because like we got everybody from all different aspects of life. And so like the N-word, that's my biggest problem is the N-word. And at first I had to learn, because you know what I'm saying? If you go back to like my tweets prior to being a part of the network, bro, the N-word was everywhere. Like cussing and all that was everywhere. But trying to be professional, trying to be me is like a balance. And so like it comes to the point where like, okay, if I want to get something off my chest and I'm talking to I'm talking to you, Dub, I'm talking to you, Fresh, or I'm talking to Thad or Jelani or whatever, I message them on the side so we could just have that real, like, we come from the same environment conversation, so I can say whatever, but it's not a diss to nobody. We ain't talking about nobody. We just holding the same conversation in the network chat, but privately where we can say whatever we say and everybody understand what we're getting at.
Yep, exactly. Shout out to Nick Andre, who recently was just brought on to the team as well. That's another guy who you had
about damn.
Right, like
look, Mo, when I saw that, I was like, he not already with us? What's going on?
Bro, a lot of people thought that, and I'm like, there was a point in time where like he was writing for us, but he was never fully with us. He was that independent writer where like I put my content anywhere that's willing to take my content. But when we finally like just added him and he entered the group chat, and I'm like, bro, it's about damn time, bro. Like we wanted it ain't even about wanted him. It was only a matter of time before he swayed this way. He fooled with everybody over here, so he might as well just join and been a part of the Off the Ball Network anyway. Like, he jumps in our spaces. He jumps on the shows. I've had him on the show. I know y'all had him. We interact with him on Twitter. Like, so when he finally jumped down, my only reaction was like, about damn time. Like,
no, in fact, I
said the same thing. Like, that's it.
You should have been here.
Right. But since you said about damn time, let's transition for a second to the Heatles. I know you're a big Miami Heat fan. First of all, when the team first got put together, what was you thinking? Seeing the decision, I remember like when it was going down. I figured y'all was getting Bosh because I remember Wade and Bosh were like doing a lot of their free agency meetings together. Like they went to Chicago within a couple hours of each other. It was somebody else, I think New York, within a couple hours of each other. So you could tell they was going together. And then especially with Melo already taking his deal, he wasn't available. But then you add LeBron, and then what happens?
All right, so I remember where I was at the day of the decision. I was in Houston, Texas. I was at my grandma's house, and my family went out to dinner. Like my mom's and my brother, sister, my grandma, like my grandparents, my cousins. We was all in Houston, Texas. They all went out to dinner. I stayed home, and I didn't go out to dinner because I made sure I wanted to watch the decision. So I sit there. She got the flat screen TV. And you know, at the time when the decision was made, flat screen TVs wasn't normal in your average household. Like, just think about it. Like, this is 2010, like 2009, 2010. So this wasn't like a normal, like everybody. We used to have the big screen TVs with the, with the back side of it. So my grandma had a big screen TV, the flat screen. So I remember sitting there watching it. I skipped family dinner. My mom was okay with it. She understood, like, look, I'm a big Miami Heat fan. I think I was 14, 15 at the time. So I sat there and watched the whole thing. And when LeBron, I was sitting on the floor dead in front of the TV. Like, I remember this moment like it's like, look, when I'm 60, I'm going to talk about LeBron's decision. So I'm going to tell my son about it. I'm going to tell my grandkids about it. Look, this was the greatest decision of my lifetime. When LeBron said, I'm taking my talents to South Beach, for me as a sports fan, that's probably the most iconic phrase I will ever face in my lifetime. When LeBron James, entering his prime, basically decided to join Dwayne Wade. Chris Bosh had already signed, so we knew we had D-Wade and Chris Bosh, and we was waiting on LeBron's decision. And when LeBron said, I'm taking my talents to South Beach, those, for me, being a Miami Heat fan, is the most iconic phrase anybody probably will ever say in my lifetime. I jumped up off that floor. Mind you, I'm 15. No major injuries yet. So
you got up off the floor.
You know what I'm saying? I could fling my body. But, bro, that was Like I had a feeling of like my hair stand up on my arms and my legs. Like, bro, I almost wanted to cry because I knew it meant that I'm going to witness more championships after already witnessing D Wade win a championship in 2006. And, you know, D Wade's my favorite player of all time. So to know that LeBron and Chris Bosh was coming, like for me, that was like, bro, my favorite player of all time is joining my second favorite player of all time, and we're going to win championships. That number at the time of the decision, whatever that number would be, I didn't know. Obviously, I know we about to get into what we thought that number was going to be, but I just knew at least my guy D Wade is going to get another one, and that's all that mattered to me. And I, bro, look, those 4 years of the Heatles being together was probably the greatest 4 years of my life as far as being an NBA fan.
Right. And I mean, you could joke about the number because you know what LeBron said, not 4, not 5, but for 4 years, you go to 4 straight finals.
You win.
They were, if LeBron didn't choose to leave, they were right on track to do that, honestly. If we go real about it.
No, for sure. But
bro, they were on track to be a dynasty, like a real dynasty.
Real dynasty.
Pat Riley and LeBron butt heads, and you know, I feel like that's a story for another time, whatever, but some people value that what the Heatles did was a undersell of what they should have done. But I'm like, look, they made 4 finals. They won 2. They didn't win the first one. They didn't win the last one, but they won back to back in the middle. And it's like, as a Heat fan, bro, they sold me nothing short of greatness. Like Wade had already won 1. I got to see D Wade win 3. I got to see LeBron win 2. I mean, I'm not disappointed with the run that the Heat had, in my opinion, but that's just me. I know some people are, but they felt like they needed to make 4 and win 4. But for me, bro, it's like they made 4. So I always got to see my team at the end of the year in June when it mattered most. My team was playing at the end of the day, and they won. They brought me 2 more championships. So it's like I got to see 3 Miami Heat championships in my lifetime. Bro, a lot of teams, you know, a lot of guys who are fans of a lot of teams ain't seen 3 championships in their lifetime. So it's like when I look back at it, I'm cool with those 2. I'm cool with those 2.
No, that's real. But like you say, we got to get into it because I feel like after the decision, that was like the most important thing that offseason. Of course, not 1, not 2,
right,
not 3, not 4, not 5. And I know, of course, a lot of people, especially because it's LeBron, so they going to feel a type of way regardless, whether they was on his side with him or they was against it. Like, nah, you can't. How you going to make that guarantee? But to hear him say that in real time, like say, as a fan, were you like fully behind it? Like, yeah, we not just winning 1. We finna win as many as we finna win. Like you say, because nobody knew LeBron was gonna leave after 4 years. Like, let's be real.
Exactly.
Especially to go back to Cleveland with the letter that Dan Gilbert wrote, you would have never guessed he was going back to Cleveland.
So, like, say, hey, seeing that and hearing that, what was the excitement behind that? Like,
bro, at the time that he signed with Miami and announced that not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. Bro, I thought LeBron was going to be a Heat lifer. From here on out, he found his home for the rest of his life. That's what you were supposed to think. Like, you don't think about 10 years, what the league going to look like from 10 years. Because think about it. At that time, we're in 2022. So we're 12 years removed from when they made that decision and made that announcement. Nobody knew who Ja Morant was. Nobody knew who Zion was, Brandon Ingram. Like, there's so many names that's being known in the NBA world, Dame Lillard and all those guys. So, like, at the end of the day, you didn't know what the league was going to look like 10 years from now. So you thought LeBron found his home and was going to be here for forever. And so, yeah, when they announced that, I'm like, okay, they're going to be here throughout their prime. They'll probably split up at 34, 35 years old. And we'll get 4, 5, 6 championships. I mean, when that big 3 formed, you're looking like, who's going to beat that big 3? I mean, Bosh coming out of Toronto, you're not projecting what he's going to look like as a third option. You just know what Bosh looked like in Toronto, and you know what LeBron looked like in Cleveland, and you know the success that Dwayne Wade had in Miami up to this point. So nobody's projecting about what that 3 is going to look like together. We just know Chris Bosh in Toronto is one of the best power forwards in the league. We know LeBron James, up to this point, arguably the best player in the league. We know D Wade, up to this point, has already won a championship top 5 player in the league. So we got 2 top 5 players, and Chris Bosh, up to his point, was arguably top 10 to 15. We'll put him in that top 10 to 15 category. So you put 3 of those guys, you're like, bro, it's championship after championship after championship. Nobody's valuing, when they're making that announcement, nobody's valuing about chemistry and what that first year going to look like, what that last year will look like. Nobody's thinking about the stipulations that Pat Riley would have with how LeBron manages the way he goes throughout the season and the expectations for Pat Riley. And Heat culture wasn't fully established by then. I think that's the time when LeBron got there. I think that's when the Heat culture started. And I think when LeBron left, that's when it got emphasized what Heat culture was. So when I seen them and they're like, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. Listen, I believed it. My dad bought us preseason tickets to go watch the Miami Heat. It was going to be the first game the Big Three was going to play together. Miami Heat versus the Orlando Magic. And it was Amalie Arena at the time, which was the Tampa Bay Lightning. It was the Tampa Bay Lightning Stadium. So they were going to put the hardwood over the ice or whatever. That was going to be the first time I was going to be able to see the Big Three play. And it was the first preseason game. All 3 of them had announced they was going to play together at least the first half, so we knew it was worth our money. Bro, that game got canceled because the hardwood over the ice made the court slick. And so they canceled that game, so I was never able to see that, which is something I fully regret, only because, like, bro, I was going to be able to have an iconic moment of seeing the Big Three. The Big Three of all Big Threes be able to play together for the first time on the court, and we didn't get to see it. We showed up in Tampa, was at Amalie Arena, and they announced it's canceled. And, like, imagine being 14 years old, your favorite player, D-Wade, your second favorite player, LeBron. You got a Wade jersey, you got LeBron Cavs jersey, you got the LeBron shoes. I wore every pair of D-Wade shoes up to that point, and they're telling you that game's canceled. Like, bro, I almost wanted to cry. Like, I almost fought depression. But being so young, like, those guys being your favorite player at 26, 27 years old, and you 14, 15, like, I'm like my freshman year of high school, bro, I was almost depressed not being able to see them play so close to home, because I felt like that's the closest to home I'll be able to ever see them play, and now it's going to be a fight. The only way I'll realistically be able to see them to play is if they play Orlando again in the regular season, or if my dad will then take me to Miami. And, you know, coming up in the struggle a little bit at around that time, going to Miami was like, that wasn't realistic.
Nah, that ain't happening. Like, I feel that. But no, yeah, that's true. Like, if you hated it or not, nobody thought that team was breaking up. Nobody saying Chris Bosh getting blood clots. Nobody saw Wade's knee deteriorate like that. We was hating because we thought they was going to actually win 6-7 in a row for real.
And that's why everybody hated it.
That's why, like, if you say that you didn't think they was going to beat the brakes off the Mavericks that year in the finals, I don't believe you at all, because nobody was picking the Mavericks. Like,
bro, I thought that was my first championship of the 6 that they promised. I thought that was one. 100%, bro. I thought that was one of the 6 that they promised me.
That was the setup. Like you say, it's not a failure because they did go to 4. Yeah, they won 2. Like, so how many teams get to go to 1, let alone win 2 while going to 4?
Going to 4 straight. I mean, didn't they had the second longest winning streak of all time with that team?
You know who ruined it that year? The Bulls.
The Bulls, right?
Bulls. Yeah. And the Bulls ruining that year. I never hated the Bulls because I never really cared about the Bulls. Like, I remember watching Kirk Heinrich and Ben Gordon, and, like, as much as I'm a fan of my team, I'm always a fan of basketball. And so I love good basketball, regardless of where it comes from. Like, I don't really, now that I've gotten older, I've had time to develop hatred for certain teams. But, like, with the Bulls back then, you know, the Kirk Heinrich and Ben Gordon's growing up watching. And I know y'all remember, bro, the classic first round matchup of the Eastern Conference playoffs prior to the Big Three joining, the Washington Wizards and Gilbert Arenas used to always play the Chicago Bulls. I don't know why, but it seemed like for 3-4 years straight, the Wizards and the Bulls with Gilbert Arenas and the Bulls with Kirk Heinrich and Ben Gordon always seemed to play each other in the playoffs. So I never had a hatred for the Bulls, but once they ended that streak and Joakim Noah and Carlos Boozer and all them started talking their noise, that made me develop a hate for the Bulls. But it's also worn off over time because even after LeBron left, like, the relevancy of the Bulls is kind of worn off until recently. So I don't have a long-term hatred for the Bulls. And then as much as I love the Heat, I still love to watch good basketball. And so to see like today, like Lonzo Ball and Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, like guys like that, like I know that's a good team worth watching on a Tuesday night when ain't nothing on TV. So I don't envy the Bulls now, but that was when they broke our win streak. That was the first time I ever hated the Bulls, and that was the second time I hated Joakim Noah. Because the first time I hated him was when he beat Ohio State basketball in the national championship.
Now, since you brought that up, let's go there because, like you say, Ohio State, everybody knows the football team. That's the Ohio State football. The basketball team put out good players. They've been good. What's it like knowing that during football season, we compete for a national championship? Then in basketball, it's like, all right, we made the tournament. We made the Sweet 16. That's cool. What's the difference right there in the excitement level?
So first off, being an Ohio State fan caused me to get, you know what I'm saying, the tattoo on my arm. First off, but it's a different vibe for football season than it is basketball season. Ohio State really doesn't care. Ohio State fans really don't care about basketball. If we relevant, cool, it's great, and we'll make something shake. But the relevancy of Ohio State falls on football. And so I go back to when like Ohio State went 6-6 and played in the Gator Bowl down in Florida and lost to Florida when they were 6-6. Nobody cared about that season. Like Ohio State's athletics at that point was dead. So basketball is cool. We've had some good teams. We've had some really good players. I mean, Evan Turner. Everybody remember the damn near half-court shot he hit off the backboard to take us to the Sweet 16. Like, we've had some moments, probably more negative than positive based on the expectations of when we had really good teams, what they were supposed to do. Right. Mike Conley and Greg Oden lost in the national championship to the Florida Gators. Jared Solinger didn't take us there. Trey Burke didn't commit to Ohio State like everybody thought. Evan Turner carried us to the Sweet 16, and we had an upset and lost to Xavier. So it's like Ohio State basketball is like, if we're great, cool, and let's enjoy it. But when it comes to football, I kid you not, bro, for what, like I say the first official year I became a fan was like 2002 with Maurice Clarett. And my sole love for that Ohio State team was like all my family from Columbus on my dad's side. My dad was, so I was like born and raised to be an Ohio State fan. But for them to have my first name being Maurice, and they had Maurice Clarett and Maurice Hall. So they had two running backs back there. That's when I knew, like in 2002, I'm like, okay, boom, this is my favorite team of all time. Like, this is my favorite team. I'm rocking with them. Then they ended up winning the national championship. I'm like 6, almost 7 years old, or 7, almost 8, one of those. So for that to happen, fall in love with Ohio State, I've never looked back since. But it seems like more often than not, our expectation is national championship or bust. And so it's like I've witnessed 2002 and 2015. So you'll probably say, based on expectations, I've witnessed more failure of seasons than success. But up until 2015, bowl games mattered. So like if we won the Rose Bowl, big deal. If we won the Peach Bowl, it was a big deal. So being an Ohio State fan is tough because you go in there with like championship aspirations every year. And so anything short of a championship, even last year, that Rose Bowl versus Utah that everybody talks about, and Jackson Smith and the Jigba put up the numbers, and that's a game to remember for people's lifetime. For me, it was like, yeah, we played great, but I almost turned that game off. Like when we was down 21-7, I almost turned that game off because I'm like, all right, we're down 2 touchdowns, and this game doesn't really matter for us. But the fan in me kept it on. I was playing 2K at the time, 100% remember. And then I turned 2K off in the middle of a rec game, and my homeboys got mad at me because we came back and made it a game. And so my homeboys, oh, you love Ohio State more than us? Yeah, 100%, bro. Like,
100%.
If an Ohio State game was on the same time as my closest homeboy funeral, sound bad or not, I don't know if I would make his funeral. I might send flowers, but I can't guarantee you that I make his funeral, bro, and I'm just being honest.
I feel that.
Nah.
But about that, I hate that Maurice Clarett team. I watched that game. My dad was a Miami fan. Y'all should not have won that game. But I always, Maurice Clarett, he was a beast there.
He was a beast. And that last play, the strip, that is basically sealed a win with that strip. Like,
he did as a freshman, and I remember he was like one of the first players that tried to push the Needles to remember he tried to enter the draft?
He was the first player ever that tried to enter the draft after freshman year.
Yeah.
He almost got it.
He almost got it. Yeah.
He was so good, they almost let him do it. And that almost was probably the biggest, I think it was the biggest, like, we should have let it happen only because I see where his life and career went from there. But then he's uplifted since then, and it's crazy because like everything comes full circle. So I've been able to have conversations with Maurice Clarett since then, with being a grown man and all that, and social media space. But Maurice Clarett, when he was in, like, quick story real quick, when Maurice Clarett was in jail, he was locked up with my uncle, and I kid you not. If y'all don't believe me, I send y'all the pictures after, the same picture that I sent Maurice Clarett. He wrote me a letter when he was locked up with my uncle because my uncle told him, like, he's my idol. I look up to him like there's nothing ever before. And mind you, I'm like 6, 7, 8 years old at that time. Like, that's when I was looking up to Maurice Clarett. So I was about 9 or 10. He wrote me a letter from jail. Me, my brother, and my sister basically saying, like, be better than me, da-da-da. My grandma was able to visit Maurice Clarett and pray over him. So at some point, I plan on having him on the show. His schedule is so busy, but we've had conversations. But I sent him that letter that he wrote me. And it's crazy because he replied back and he said, it's crazy, little bro, because I remember when I wrote that letter. Like, I remember the time in life when I wrote that letter. And so even if I never get him on the show, to have conversation and know that, like, when he looks back at his life, he remembers when he wrote those letters, bro, I'm good. At that point, I hit you up from time to time to see if you free, but to know that you remember when you wrote me a letter as a kid and you wrote me the most meaningful letter anybody could ever write me as a kid, bro, I'm good for the rest of my life on that.
Right. I always cheer for Ohio State low key because one of my best friends in high school, he played, he won the Rose Bowl. He was with Terrell Pryor team, or whatever. So, I got his name was Stedman. He played special. He played, he was hurt and stuff. Keith Wells. What number did Stedman wear there?
I mean, you never know though. This is crazy. When you love Ohio State, you know everybody. You find a way to love that guy who makes tackles on kickoff. Like, yeah, always make them tackles on kickoff. Like, it just becomes that way when you love. I feel like Ohio State is one of those few schools where it's like the guy that you think is on the end of the bench, the guy that made it out your city and was relevant to all of y'all, but maybe irrelevant to the national stage. When you love Ohio State, you be like, oh yeah, I remember that guy. He made that tackle on the kickoff late in the game when it mattered, when we thought he was going to score a touchdown. Like, it's that important.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man.
That's real. Oh, and like beginning of the show, you said with balancing, being professional with still being yourself is kind of tough.
Yep.
And I want to take it to something that I know a lot of people have an opinion on, especially being black in this country. And I know everybody's first thought when they hear about it, we go back to Boys in the Hood. Trey tells Ricky, my dad said a black man ain't got no business in the military. We all go, people do things for different reasons. You don't have to get any reasons why you went or, what may convince you to go. But just you personally, what's your experience like in the military as a black person, as a black man?
So real quick, I don't mind sharing why I joined. So, I went to JUCO and played basketball, knowing that I was going back to FAU. That didn't happen. I went back to FAU, but playing basketball for FAU didn't happen. Couldn't pass a drug test to save my life. I love the marijuana, I ain't gonna lie. And I went to JUCO in California. And this was at a time, this was like 2014, when like weed in Cali was acceptable, but it wasn't acceptable like nowhere else in America. But if you went to Cali, like, that was when your plug was getting stuff from Cali, and that was exclusive. Like, y'all know, you know what I'm saying? You supposed to weed, like, bro, you was paying that money to get something from Cali if you wasn't in Cali. So I never forget the first day I got out there, my homeboys was out there. And I say my homeboys lightly only because, like, we all not cool now, but it is what it is. I wish them the best of love. But the first day I got out there, bro, my family gave me so much money to go out there and take care of myself in JUCO. So I come with $20. And I'm like, hey, bro, like, I'm You know what I'm saying? We in Cali. I'm trying to smoke. I'm trying to see what that Cali smoke bought. Bro, dude gave me what he gave me for $20. I said, bro, I got another 20, bro. This what y'all giving for $20? I got another 20 on that. And that was day one, fresh off the plane, getting there. So that kind of, and then with not getting drug tested in junior college and all that, like it gave me like a, I used to walk to practice in junior college, bro. Like we used to have weights at 6 a.m. I used to wake up at 4:30, get dressed and walk like almost damn near 2 miles to school to lift weights, walk back to the crib, take a shower, and then walk to my first class at 8:30 in the morning. Like JUCO is a struggle that people don't realize. So then doing all that and then going to FAU, I got used to a certain lifestyle. Then kind of doing that NCAA lifestyle, it was different. It was a lot different. So to get there and, basically not adapt, it is what it is. So I was working at McDonald's or whatever. And then, bro, crazy thing. I'm smoking weed. I got kicked out my pop's house. I'm smoking weed with my homeboy I'm staying with. And I'm like, bro, I'm about to join the military. And he was like, bro, you're just high, bro. Talk to me in the morning. So I got kicked out my pop's house, but I called my dad and I was like, hey, Dad, I want to turn my life around. I'm going to join the military. Because my mom's had texted me that night. And she was like, hey, I don't know if you know this, but my friend knows a recruiter. And like, even though you got a possession of marijuana charge, you could join the Navy. Because at that time, I felt like the Army or the Marines was my only option. I'm like, I ain't trying to go to the Army or the Marines. So when I found out I could go to the Navy, I'm like, all right, cool. They travel the world. Like, let me see what they talking about. So my dad picked me up, you know what I'm saying, from my homeboy house, took me there. And at that point, I was fully committed. That's when I moved to Georgia. A lot of BS was happening back at the crib, you know what I'm saying? A lot of old demons coming back and biting you, so you need to remove yourself from a situation to elevate, bro. We all hit them points in time where like, all right, my old demons bite me. I need to remove myself from the situation to elevate. So I moved with my mom's, my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time. She had went to boot camp in the Navy, and that's what made me decide like maybe I'll join the Navy. She hurt her knee, so she come back home. So me and her moved with my mom's. My mom was like, the only way you moving in with me is if you decide like you're fully committing to join the Navy. At that point, I'm like, I ain't got no other option. It's either McDonald's or the Navy. So I'm gonna go to the military. But like fast forward to now, and it's like, bro, being black in the military is tough. And people don't realize it, right? Like they think it's all smooth and bro, I got a good life. I've developed a great life by being in the military, but at the same time, bro, you deal with the politics. And we know when it comes to politics, it's black or white. And so it's like sitting on the side of being, I'm light-skinned, but, I'm mixed. My mom's white, my dad's black. But looking over and the fact that, you know what I'm saying, I get looked at as a black man everywhere. Like, I faced the points in time where, like, me being black has played a factor in my advancement. Me being black has placed a factor of me getting some time, you know what I'm saying, getting my love or whatever. So it gets kind of tough being black in the military only because, you know what I'm saying, like it's just tough, bro. And sometimes people don't realize it, but sometimes people do. So it's one of those, it's a tough road. And it's like, based on questions will be based on how I'd be able to answer. Basically, bro, I was a bum working at McDonald's, smoking weed. I'm going to just be honest. Like, I'm going to just be honest, bro. Like, all I was worried about was working a job and smoking my weed, bro, and I was good. But, her kind of elevating her life, my pops had a conversation with me and was like, your girl going to leave you. Like, if you don't elevate and you don't get right and you don't do what's necessary to become a man, your girl going to leave you. And so at that point, that's kind of, while smoking weed with my homeboy, kind of made me make the decision to join the military. And I'm like, you know what? I'll do it. And then I was going to join the Navy, and then she called me and she's coming back home. And so I'm like, well, I'll do what needs to be done. And so at that point, that was kind of like where I was like, all right, like I'll be the man I'll finally man up and be the man of the relationship, and I'll do what needs to be done. And then at that point, bro, it's like from making that decision, I mean, it's, you know what I'm saying? From there, it's like we got married, had 2 kids. Like, I'm going to get out the military 100% after my contract up. But I have zero regrets about joining the military because I look at a lot of people who come from the environment I come from, and it's like, bro, I've been on my own for years. I've been out my parents' house. I got my own this, that, and the other. And it's like, we could brag about what we do, but it's just like, I made the decision to be better, and it's made me better, even with all the challenges. Because it's like, bro, if I go through all the challenges, look, bro, I've had to see a therapist. You know what I'm saying? I've had to see anger management. And a lot of people don't understand, like, yeah, you're doing well off, but it's tough. And so, like, even in to y'all point of as far as being black in the military, like, bro, it's tough. It's not easy. Black people do get the recognition, but I still don't think they get the recognition they deserve. They find little holes where, like, okay, for every 5 white people we give the recognition, we got to give 1 black person. So it's like a complimentary prize for being black in the military and getting recognized as something. So, but I felt like I did what I needed to do as a man in a relationship. And from there, I kind of took off. And I'm not great at what I do, but I do what needs to be done. And I'm recognized by who I need to be recognized by for the work I put in. And so I guess at the end of the day, that's all I could really care about.
Right. That was a real decision for you to look yourself, you know what I mean, in the face and say, I need to figure this out. You know what I mean?
I was a bum, bro. Like, I'm going to be honest, bro. I was a bum, bro. Like, I was working at McDonald's, bro, and my McDonald's paychecks was going to my marijuana habits, bro. Like, it was to the point, bro, look, my dad had paid for my lawyer fees. I owed my dad money. Bro, I'm spending that money that I owe my pops on weed, bro. Like, I didn't pay my dad back till I graduated boot camp. And that's when I finally paid him back. And when I did pay him back, that feeling was like, I think that's the time where I'm like, you know what, bro? I actually did something. Like, I ain't nothing. And from there on out, I kind of carried that. Well, like, you know what? I'm not nothing. Everybody thought I wasn't going to be nothing. Everybody thought, like, without basketball, what is this dude going to be? Without hooping, without playing college ball, without going to whatever next level may be, whether it be semi-pro or overseas. And I tried all those routes. But it was like, without that, everybody felt like he ain't going to amount to nothing. And now I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I'm the greatest, but at the same time, like, I ain't hurting for nothing. I do what I do. And you know what I'm saying? We had this conversation in chat the other day, and it's like, bro, I'm not rich. I ain't got a whole lot of money. You can look up how much money I make, you know what I'm saying, on the internet. But at the same time, what I do and what my wife do and what we do for the kids and all that, I'm like, bro, look, I do whatever I want to do. Whether what somebody else wants is highly expensive, but I don't wear Gucci and Louis. Why? Because I step out just as fresh. I wear my shoes or whatever, and like, bro, I spent half of what you spent on your outfit. Like, I the high end stuff don't interest me, bro. The everyday lifestyle that we live is what interests me.
Definitely. And like I say, shout out to you, because I know it's people out there, young men, who's definitely going through the same thing, who's been through the same thing, and everybody don't get that push. Everybody don't have that push. Like say, sometimes it's your family, it's your girl, and just like say, you got out of that, you made it to the positive end of that. Like say, you got vice president. Like say, you one of my best friends. Like when it comes to this, once we finally get the connecting and stuff, probably gonna be my best friend in life too, or whatnot. But like I said, let's get back to basketball real quick, because like you say, of course, with the LeBron James and the Heat era, Heat culture wasn't fully established. We knew what Pat Riley wanted. He had, you know, of course, there was always straight workouts. Yeah. There was always coming in the camp, feeling a certain way, looking a certain way. But then LeBron leaves because, like I said, him and Pat Riley do butt heads. That's one of those things that's not a rumor. Like, Pat Riley didn't like how LeBron was coming to games, and that's just is what it is. He didn't like how he rolled. He didn't like how he had his, you know, his agent was his best friend, so he was going to be there. He didn't really accept that. But
and then LeBron didn't like the, you know, feeling like Pat obviously has like a control factor to what he does. And when you're LeBron James, it's like I don't want to be controlled.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right. This is so, like I'm trying to control my career. So when you see that, and you kind of see now every season after that, it bleeds in. Heat culture bleeds in more. They stop going after the high end free agents. You know, no more Like if LeBron come down, if a LeBron type come down and visit, we gonna do what we do to gotta bring him in.
They do their due diligence.
We would prefer a Jimmy Butler who we know maybe he's not a top 10 player every night, but when we need him to be, he's a top 5 player. We saw that in the finals. I don't care what nobody say about the bubble. It's the playoffs. It's professional basketball. Not finna hate on that. Bam, who's been great for them. I know he was a little down this year. Tyler Hero went.
He just was injured. He had a great
it was definitely more about injuries. Tyler Hero, 6th man of the year. Kyle Lowry, who might have had a few bright spots, definitely didn't look like he came in ready for Heat culture this year. Like being a Heat fan through the whole lot, what's that like to see this team build something that's not the typical dynasty where, like I said, we're going to go after Kevin Durant. Well, they're going after Kevin Durant this year, but we're going to go after Kevin Durant and LeBron James every year in free agency. We're going to build our team to the best of his abilities, and we're going to use the players to their best of their capabilities.
So with the Heat, we do go after the Kevin Durants every year, but if we fall short, we have a plan. And that's the difference of like certain teams will go all in on a certain player. And then if they miss out on that player, they don't have a plan. Remember, we went after Kevin Durant in free agency when he joined the Golden State Warriors. We went after Gordon Hayward when he was a sought-after free agent at the time. We missed out on KD and Gordon Hayward that year. And as Heat fans, you're kind of like, well, where do we go from here? Fast forward a year, we land Jimmy Butler, and you're like, okay, very similar to D-Wade. He ain't of D-Wade's stature, but very similar, come from nothing, hard life growing up, went to Marquette to get not together, but went to Marquette just like D-Wade. So Jimmy Butler was accepted day one. And so when you talk about building the culture, you're like, look, bro, we want those gritty, grindy guys who come from nothing, who are going to work their butts off, who understand what the standard is here, and they're willing to work for it. And so sometimes it's tough because that Wednesday night ESPN game, Miami Heat versus Minnesota Timberwolves, might not be that exciting. And I've told y'all as a Heat fan, bro, the Heat aren't the most exciting team to watch. Like, if the Lakers and Warriors play and the Heat are playing at the same time, I might watch the Lakers and Warriors just because of the simple fact that the excitement. If the Heat and Kings play at 10:30 p.m. Eastern and so do the Lakers and Warriors, I might be more apt to watch the Lakers and Warriors because of star power. And I know that sometimes watching my Heat could be very stagnant and not that fun. Like they might get the W at the end of the day and you can celebrate that. But at the same time, it's not in the way of what you want to watch when you're just on a Tuesday night or Wednesday night on ESPN watching for entertainment and best value. So the Heat culture has been like, if you're willing to ride with the grind with them, then you've enjoyed it. And I have. But at the same time, like, I think we might have even lost some fans who weren't either born and bred in Miami or just loved the Heat since the D-Wade. Like, I love D-Wade since Marquette. So once I was a basketball fan as a young kid prior to Dwayne Wade getting drafted to the Miami Heat, Wade going to Miami was like, Miami's my favorite team because D-Wade my favorite player. And I deemed D-Wade my favorite player once he was in Marquette. I was like 6 years old. So it's like, if you didn't enjoy that grind for over like 20 years, then right now, this isn't the most exciting Heat team that you love. This ain't the team that you fall in love with. But sometimes, bro, you just got to enjoy the grind. And with the grind becomes either success or failure. But you also got to figure it out. And I think the Heat have done that. I mean, just think about it. In the past 3 years, they've been to NBA Finals, knocked out the first round, and went to Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals. How many other fans of teams can say that they've had even close to that success in 3 years? Not a lot. Like, if any, really.
Yeah, and like the Heat are one of those teams, like say, regardless of how you feel about the offense or if you think the players are going to be consistent enough offensively, if they're a good team and they healthy, we're going to see them at least in the second round in the playoffs because that's just how they built. Eric Spoelstra keeps them together. Of course, there was the incident at the end of the year with Udonis Haslem, Jimmy Butler, and Eric Spoelstra. But you expect that with a team like that.
Yeah, that was
big personalities. Everybody knows. Everybody has the same goal, even though we might not have the same ways we go about them goals. And just to get a Jimmy Butler real quick, just to be a little lighthearted. I know you see, Jimmy Bundles. I know you seen the extensions. And it's funny because like he had braids all last year, so it's like there was no need to overdo it with the extensions. Like just keep your hair braided.
We're gonna look. I'm gonna give him his pass. So this is what I figured out what happened. This is what I think happened.
Rachel Nichols had it.
I ain't gonna touch that one. But I think he knew the stylist and they was doing something with the shampoo or something.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's actually wearing the bundles. I just think it was something for that moment. He was trying to help out a friend.
But like I say, he's still Jimmy Butler, but the videos was hilarious. Like, have you seen, I know you've seen the video.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I look at it like this. Jimmy Butler tried to fully embrace the Florida culture. And then when you look at, like, let's just look at, when we talk about culture, bro, we talk about the urban side of things, period. Like, especially when we talk about culture from our aspect. And so I think Jimmy Butler, I'm going to be honest, here's a person I'm going to give love to. I think Jimmy Butler looked at Hot Boy, and I think he said, let me get the Hot Boy special. And they got the same dreads. Look at Hot Boy's album cover that he just dropped. And look at his dreads and look at Jimmy Butler dreads. It's very similar. Like, am I wrong? Jimmy Butler got to Florida and he got to Miami, where a lot of people in Miami, like, that's where I know a lot of people in like Houston like to say the dreads and gold started. I say the gold started in Houston, but the dreads with the golds, which we call wicked up in Florida, bro, it started in Florida, bro. Like having the dreads and golds and being cool, bro, it really started in Florida. And I think Jimmy Butler got out there. He got to hanging with the Zoe Pound a little bit because, you know, they accept, hey, listen, when it come to culture, the hood accept the stars. Jimmy Butler is the star in Miami. And Jimmy Butler might have hung in Little Haiti a little too long and seen all them dreads and gold teeth and was like, look, I ain't necessarily going to do the gold teeth only because I got an image to protect, but I'm going to get these extensions and I'm going to get these dreads and I'm going to fit in to the Miami culture, not the Heat culture, but I'm going to fit into the Miami culture full blown and I'm going to get these extensions. And I ain't going to lie, Jimmy, you're making us Florida people look bad only because you're not from Florida and people are associating the dumb decision that you made with Florida people. And I don't like it. I don't like it because we don't do that. If you can get dreads, you can get dreads. If you can't, you have the wave cut or you have the taper fade or whatever you do. If you can get dreads, you get the natural dreads. So I don't like Jimmy coming from out of town and trying to embrace the Florida culture and doing it and making us look stupid because not everybody's like, that's that Florida shit. And it's like, what's not? Is not from people who can't get dreads. Like, that's that Florida look, but that's the Florida look from people who can get dreads like that. And the guys who can get dreads like that have dreads like that. Just peep Hot Boys. You know what I'm saying? Just Hot Boy is perfect because he got the gold tips and all that. So when Jimmy did that, I'm like, bro, what are you doing, bro? Like, that's not cool. Like, if your hair was that long and we knew it was natural, cool. But, bro, you got dread extensions. That's not cool. Like, you might as well shaved your head bald and just put extensions in your head. Like, that's not it. It's not it, Jimmy.
Not it, Jimmy Bundles.
Jimmy Bundles. But no, man, like I say, we had to do this. This was necessary for us to, like I say, we haven't done a show since the beginning. Before we get out of here, like you say, you got to see Dwayne Wade win 3 championships. You got to see Maurice Claret win a championship. You got to see your Tampa Bay Lightning win a championship. I'm pretty sure you're probably going to pick either Ohio State. I feel like you're going to pick Tampa Bay, but which one of those was your favorites?
Ohio State 2015. You first off, of all championships that mean the most, anything that Ohio State wins, like, I'm a full-blown Ohio State fan. Like, I ain't got the Miami Heat tatted on me yet. And I say yet because it's a possibility. But I got Ohio State tatted on me, and it's like it comes from the family roots. It comes deeper than like, yeah, I'm from Florida, so everybody like, how you just love Ohio State so much that you get the tattoo. But it's like from my dad's side of the family that I clicked with from day one, they're all Ohio State fans. Outside of my grandma, who's a switch out and loves Michigan. And so, like, I almost question my love for her sometimes. How are you born and raised in Columbus, Ohio, and love Michigan? I never understand that. When everybody else who's born and raised in Ohio loves Ohio State. But I'll say the 2015, and here's why. When Ohio State won in 2002, I was so young that even though they won the championship, I didn't understand the real meaning of like being doubted and being counted out from winning that championship.
Right.
In 2015, I remember that was the first year of the playoffs. TCU and Baylor had an opportunity like where people thought they should be the 4 seed. Ohio State won 59-0 in the Big Ten championship, and that's what got them in there. And we won the championship with our third string quarterback. But mind you, forget beating Oregon. We played Alabama. We were the 4 seed, and we played the number 1 team in the country, who everybody thought was a lock to win the national championship. And so for Zeke to basically put that game on his back, I feel like that means the most only because that's the one championship that I really feel like of all my teams that won championship, we weren't supposed to win that. Like, we weren't supposed to beat Bama, who was the number 1 team in the country. And I just watched the 2015. I watched the game against Bama, and I watched the game against Oregon about a week ago. And so I look at all the talent. Bro, Amari Cooper was in a Bama uniform. Let's just be honest. Outside of Julio, it was Julio, and then there was Amari Cooper. Those was the dudes at wide receiver, not only at Alabama, but in the country. So Amari Cooper was there. I look at all the defensive talent they had there, and I look at the talent that we had, and I'm like, when I hear the names Landon Collins at safety for Alabama, I'm like, bro, based on name for name, we had no business winning that game, let alone we beat Bama. Oregon blasted Jameis Winston in Florida State.
That was ugly, yeah.
Blasted. And we thought like it was going to be a Bama versus Florida State national championship. Like that was the prediction. If anybody was betting men at that time, which I wasn't, people would have bet like Florida State versus Bama and then who we going to pick out of Jameis or whoever at Alabama. And so for us to beat them and then turn around and beat the brakes off of Oregon the same way they beat the brakes off of Florida State, bro, and just being able to watch that championship with my pops at the time was like, bro, that's where it's so much meaningful is like, especially with having been, you know, I moved on and joined the Navy and I've been across the country, whether it was California or Washington or now Texas, being separated from my pops for like the last 6, almost going on 7 years is like, we haven't been able to watch all the games that we wanted, but knowing that like I was able to watch that national championship, we stayed up. He's a guy who wake up early, grind all day working. He stayed up to watch that game with me because we knew like the possibility of winning that national championship meant everything. And it's the inaugural, we were the first team to win a national championship in the playoff era. So I got to go with the 2015. But that first year that Miami won the championship after losing to Dallas is a close second. Like, because I remember the celebration being younger at the time, too. We're able to celebrate it a little bit differently, be able to go to school. You know what I'm saying? Like, go. Well, it wasn't school. It was summer practice in football and basketball at the time. So be able to go out there with my chest out and know that my team won the NBA championship when everybody was talking that noise, too, with OKC. And you got to remember at that time, that was when a lot of people were loving Kevin Durant and then Russ, James Harden. That comes in a close second, but that 2015 national championship with Ohio State, it hits different. It's just anytime Ohio State win anything, it's gonna hit different over everybody. You could tell me if you can only watch one of your favorite teams and you gotta X out everybody else that you love, bro, I'm picking Ohio State football over anything every other day. Knowing that I could watch the rest of the NBA but not watch the Miami Heat, knowing I don't even watch hockey like that unless the Lightning are good. So if I can't watch the Lightning in their bad years or whatever, I don't care. And if they win a Stanley Cup, cool. I'm going to celebrate. I've gone to plenty of Lightning games. I fell in love with them, or watching the Tampa Bay Rays, like, cool. They win a World Series. That's great. But at the same time, none of those championships will hit. Like if Ohio State win a championship, which in bold prediction, I expect them to win this year as well.
Oh, prediction. That's what the people come on our show for. But we appreciate you coming on here. Like I say, the vice president, Off the Ball Network. If y'all see his tweets, I'm not gonna lie. This man be bad. Hey, what was it earlier?
What about the boneless wings?
Bro, and you're a grown. Listen, since we're talking about that, if you are a grown man feeling comfortable, now listen, I don't mean this for every order, but like if you go 10 times to order wings, and you don't order bone-in 9 times out of those 10, bro, I'm sorry, I got to question you as a man, bro. Like, it's okay to get boneless sometimes because you don't feel like dealing with the BS. Like, I get it. You just want the chicken. But when we say that sometimes, it's like, bro, we eat chicken for a living. Let's just be honest, bro. Like, us black folk eat chicken on the regular. Chicken breast, chicken tenders, it doesn't matter. But like, if you're gonna order, you're gonna go to Wingstop and order boneless wings outside of a day that they got 60-cent boneless wings, bro. I gotta question you, dog. Like, bro, enjoy the grind, bro. Eat around the bone, bro. Enjoy the grind of getting every last bit of chicken that you can get off the bone, as opposed to eating boneless where you just put a fork in it. And you know what I'm saying? Prez talking about I eat pizza with a fork. No. Y'all eat boneless wings with a fork. Y'all eat boneless wings. If you order boneless wings, you definitely were served a plastic fork, which was meant for your boneless wings, not your fries, because everybody eat fries with fingers. That plastic fork that come in that bag was meant for your boneless wings, which means you're dipping your chicken in a fork. And we don't do that unless we eating like chicken breast or something that's cooked on the stove or whatever. Like, no. Imagine being a grown man ordering boneless wings confidently. Yeah, I want a 10-piece boneless with fries and ranch. Like, you can't go holler at a waitress, order boneless wings, and think she finna give you your number that night. Give you her number that night. Not gonna happen. She's gonna be like, you're probably like 20. Like, she's gonna assume you're probably like 20. You can't be a grown man ordering boneless wings. So I just had to hit on that point.
No, facts. But like I said, we appreciate you coming on here. It has been far too long. This is the summertime series. We appreciate you. I think you're the first person we've ever talked to talk about the Miami Heat, like in anything at all. Like, that's what's up. You got anything else before we get out of here?
Nah, just like you said, way past time. Appreciate you, Mo. Appreciate the stories for real. You giving us a game and some insight and some real talk, honestly. Plus some sports talk in there too. So it was good. Sure.
Yeah, that's like I said, when y'all gave me the rundown, you know what I'm saying? When y'all sent me the rundown, I'm like, oh, say less. Like, I got excited. I'm like, all right, we're going to talk hoops, but then we're going to talk life and all that. I'm like, oh, yeah, this right up my alley, bro. It ain't even got to be analytical, bro. We just get and chop it up for an hour. I'm good with that.
Nah, facts. But like I said, y'all catch Mo up in flames. All the work he do as vice president. And I'm John W.
Fresh X.
We'll catch y'all next time.